Hi everyone, Simon Keeling here. It is Tuesday the 29th of January. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. This video is online a little bit later than usual. It's been a very hectic day here today. Lots of things going on, so apologies for it being a little bit later than usual. But we've managed to get through all the charts now, managed to get everything out of the way, so now it's time to sit down and have a little bit of fun and make the video. So thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Don't forget, we kept free of charge by all the adverts you see around the screen here. It's those that keep us free of charge, so you coming back, using the adverts, using the site, that's what means that we can do this every day. So thank you for doing that so far. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Weather School, and do a search on Facebook for Weather School as well. Now, a mild afternoon out there this afternoon. These were the temperatures at 3 o'clock, and there's 13-14 degrees across the country during this afternoon. Some really warm weather out there. And when you think that the average for the time of year is supposed to be 7 or 8, you can see how warm it is. And particularly when you think this time last week we were looking at 1s and 2s during the afternoons. It goes to show the fascinating part of British weather. You know, you get that wind change direction from a cold easterly into a mild southwesterly coming in from the tropics, and that's exactly what happens. Those sort of temperatures. Fascinating to see this swing taking place. Now, what we're looking out for in the next few days with the jet stream still over the top of us is low pressure still dominating things, periods of rain coming through as well. This afternoon you can see low pressure centred here out towards the west of Scotland, and what we'll find during the course of this afternoon and through the course of this evening is that low will gradually drift its way northeastwards. It drags a front. This is by then a weak cold front that's lying down through here. That drags eastwards overnight tonight, taking some outbreaks of rain with it, and then what we find through tomorrow is a westerly flow, quite a cloudy westerly flow though. I think there'll still be some outbreaks of rain around, particularly in the north and the west, but what we should find during the course of tomorrow afternoon is that things become brighter as the weather gradually settles down. Basically it's because of this ridge of high pressure building in, which stabilises things off. Interesting to note though, this feature here, look up towards the north of Scotland, this is a front that moves its way southward. It's got the Arctic air trapped behind it, and that really never really makes much progress into Scotland. It gets through Shetland, it gets through Orkney, could produce some snow up there during the course of tomorrow night into the early part of Thursday morning. And then what we find on Thursday is another area of low pressure here, look, just zipping its way eastwards across the country during the early part of Thursday morning. Takes some rain with it, but also, more importantly, takes an area of strong winds. That's the position at 6 o'clock on Thursday morning, look, and you notice there the isobars close together. Those strong winds are going to be passing eastwards, bringing particularly strong winds to England and Wales, gusts getting up to gale force at times. And then what we find as we head in towards Friday is another area of low pressure zipping in from the southwest. Now this one is really tricky to get a handle on it, because this is the feature that's going to introduce colder weather during Thursday and during Friday. Now the GFS has it positioned up here on Friday morning. The UK Met Office model has got it positioned somewhere here and moving southwards. So it's really difficult to tell exactly where it's going to be, but the latest GFS has it coming through the UK, going into Ireland, into Wales, into England as well, and bringing very heavy rain and very strong winds with it. Now, if this is the position that it takes, and at the moment difficult to nail down exactly where it's going to be, but if this is the position that it takes, these areas here are at risk from significant snowfall during Friday. Now, it would be rain that turns to snow. Further south down here, I think probably it's mainly rain. And then the low clears away early part of Saturday morning, brings in these northerly winds, a cold northerly flow down across the country, takes the outbreaks of rain, sleet and snow eastwards with it, and just introduces, well, a colder day for Saturday, a few showers across the north, but generally it is fairly bright. But this has a big question mark over at the moment as to exactly where this low goes. If you've got anything planned for Friday, keep a very close eye on the forecast, particularly Northern England, Northern Ireland, which, as I say, is going to be snow affected, but also elsewhere because of the strength of that wind. That could be gusts of 50 miles an hour even inland. So on to Saturday, ridge of high pressure comes in, calms everything down, and then we find a front passing across Scotland during the course of Saturday afternoon, during the course of Sunday evening overnight into Sunday, Saturday evening overnight to Sunday. I'll get it right eventually. And then through the course of Sunday itself, well, a west to southwesterly flow. We've got a front that kind of just lies through here and up back through here. So this is the warm front part of it, this is the cold front part of it. So you can see a fair amount of cloud around and some spots of rain. And then another area of low pressure passing towards the north during the course of Monday, and that's starting to hint, look, at the flow becoming more of a west to west northwesterly as we head in towards Tuesday, and then you can see here Tuesday afternoon bringing in that colder northwesterly flow. What that would do is turn the showers out here on these western coasts into sleet and also into snow showers during Tuesday, with the temperatures falling off. So it's something there that we just need to be keeping an eye on. Now, I mentioned about the winds. Just something I want to highlight to you really is the strength of the wind during tonight. Look, this is at 6 o'clock this evening, still 40 50 mile an hour gusts across the far south, 50 miles an hour up towards the north, and it could be that they increase during the early part of this evening. Look, it's this area here that we have a concern for, because their winds could get up to 80 miles per hour across the northern coast of Scotland, but then they should gradually ease away as we go through the day on Wednesday. But just notice as well that this kind of finger of strong winds that gets into the Irish Sea during Wednesday as well. It's just something for you to be aware of, just something that we've been watching. Now, looking further ahead, this is what we're looking at on the ECMWF. This is the position for the 7th of February. Now, just notice what's happening. Look, a ridge is building out towards the west of the country. We've got the trough down here. So what's happening here is warm air is being pumped north into the ridge, cold air is coming south, and it's deepening off this trough that's across the eastern Mediterranean. Now, what we have to decide here is how far north does this ridge actually get. If that ridge can be pumped its way further north and that high get up here somewhere, that could perform quite a block. Well, that would mean is that the lows get squeezed southwards, eventually becoming somewhere in here with high pressure up here, and we get back into a cold north and northeasterly flow that we had before. However, if we look at the hemispheric charts, so this is the hemispheric chart from the ECMWF. If we get just onto the same day, let's just get onto the 7th. There we go. So what we've got here is, so we've got our ridge that's out here, look, towards the west of the UK, and there's our trough. In fact, no, it's not. There's our ridge, there's our trough here coming into Eastern Europe. Now look, up towards the north here, notice this block of low heights that are in here. Okay, so just notice that block that's stuck up there. Now, what's happening here and what's of interest here is to see how that develops over the coming weeks, because this is the forecast from the CFS. What we have to look for is a block developing up to the north. Now, this is week 1, okay? So this is the forecast going through to the 4th of February. Now, you have to turn your head around to remember for these charts, but on this one, excuse me, we've got above normal heights here, which would lead to high pressure, below normal heights across the country, which would lead to low pressure, and here is our block of higher than normal heights. So that effectively is the region in here, okay, that has above normal heights. But just watch what happens to this. Look, by week 2, 5th to 11th of February, look, here's our block, okay, so that block that was here is shifted across the pole. Now what that does is it builds the ridge here, which is exactly what we've just seen on the ECMWF, exactly this here, okay, so it builds the block in here, and there it is, there's our ridge, okay. It strengthens the trough. Remember me telling you about strengthening the trough, but just look what's happening. Look, we're starting to see a blocking form again across the pole in there. Now, what the implication does that have? Well, by week 3, and this is the 12th to the 18th of February, just look what happens. Our ridge flattens out. It's across here, look. We're back in this blocked off situation up towards the north. There's low pressure down to the south of the country. So we'd have low pressure down here, high pressure up here. What happens? We get that circulation taking place. We're back to where we were last week with a cold easterly flow. So temperatures falling off again. It's lasting, really, this is going on from about the 7th of February, and then it gets ever colder with those easterly winds kicking in. And then week 4, so this is week 4, which is taking us from the 19th of February to the 25th of February, we're still blocked out towards the north, still got our low down here, and look, we're still going to find these winds coming in as an easterly. What probably will happen by then is that the jet stream is actually, well, it won't be there, the jet stream is probably somewhere like that, coming across the south of the country. So we go back into a windy spell, which is what we've got at the moment, this windy, unsettled spell, and probably milder too. So I think the temperature profile through February is probably going to do something like this. So we'll have our nippy weekend, okay, then we're going to find the temperatures probably picking up a wee bit, and then we're going to find them gradually falling off. But then, so this is going to be about, there is about the 7th, that there is the kind of 2nd, let's say, okay. Then the temperatures fall off and probably go pretty static, but then what we're going to find is a fall off in temperature before a rise towards the end. And I think this main fall off in temperature here is going to be somewhere around the 12th-ish, and I think that the pick up in temperature is probably going to be somewhere, well, somewhere around about the 20th or 21st. So I think we're going to find this cold spell of weather coming in for the middle part of February. I say cold, I think I'm still going to go cool to cold, but there could be some cold days in there. So we're not out of the woods yet, and I wouldn't rule out the risk of snow either. So it's something that we need to be watching very carefully. If you're farming, it's something that you need to be aware of, that we're not out of the woods, that despite some mild days, we could find that temperatures are going to be taking a tumble and could take us back into winter for a time during that middle part of the month. It's certainly something that I've been advising private clients about, and I think it's time probably just to show you some of the reasoning behind it. So thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Hopefully that's been of interest to you. I know I can witter on, but it's so fascinating, isn't it, when you see this sort of stuff. So thank you again for watching weatherweb.net. Don't forget, we're kept free of charge by the advert you see around the screen. So when you see an advert you like and you click on it and you go through to the site, that's what keeps us free of charge. So once again, thanks for watching, and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.